So right now, people, it's Dr. C, the dancehall surgeon, in the hot seat, and I have with me my special guest, the man whose voice is like loved all over the world. I would have said the UK's best, but he's not just the UK's reggae like icon. This man is global. Bitty Mclean. Wagwan.
Enough respect, Dr. C. Thank you for making time for me today, man. Enough respect.
Bro, I need to get the intro right because I was like, you know what? This is Bitty.
I'm Bitty's lookalike. Bitty's on holiday. He sent me to sit in for the interview.
If you can sing like him, then it's all good, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that test later on. We'll get to that test.
Okay.
So how are you doing, sir?
All is good. Good, Dr. C. Some new music out there and just pushing some good vibes. You know, kickstart the year with some good rubber dubs, some good lovers, some good roots music. So all is good. Good.
I am glad that you've taken some time to join me because you are not the easiest person to get hold of. I know you are super busy. You're all over the place. You're always in the studio and stuff.
Always in the studio or on stage, somewhere in the world. Yeah,
exactly. So. But that's good. Keep him busy.
This is it. And doing what I love doing, which is to be writing music, producing, and then the best step after that is to go on stage and perform the music. And I've been fortunate that I can go various places around the world and do that. So I give thanks. I never take it for granted, but I give thanks for everything.
Never take it for granted. But I'm going to go back because we go back a good way. We go back probably about 10 years, bro. Like,
easily, yes. Yeah.
Easily 10 years. But let's rewind a bit further than that.
Okay.
We've got a little time. We're not rushing.
Yeah, no rush.
Management can't rush me, you know. So
there's no power cut.
We'll make sure we dial back in.
Yeah.
So based out of the UK, growing up in the city of Birmingham, which I'm very familiar with Birmingham. I don't know what they call it nowadays. Cause me hear they said Birmingham veg. Me hear people say Birmingham strong. Me hear people say bad lad. All I know is my Rastaman friend them said don't call it Birmingham.
Okay. No, I don't mind Ham because we know the Bible told me Ham, Shem, and Japhet. So Ham was the original black man. So I'd have no problem with Ham. Birmingham.
There we go. So let's take it back because I know you bust onto the scene in like the early 90s because I remember when I was buying records using my college money them days. I'm buying records. But we'll get to that though. I just want to go like growing up in that Windrush kind of, the first generation from Windrush. And I know Birmingham is like the proper
large.
The biggest Caribbean community anywhere.
That's right.
And I live in Manchester.
A lot of people think London, but Birmingham most definitely has the highest rate of Caribbean people that settled and started their families in Birmingham. Definitely.
100%. And that means one bag of sound systems. I know there's sound systems from here, there, and everywhere in Birmingham.
If you weren't in a sound system, either your older brothers were or your brother's friends were in a sound system. It was just like, that was just how it was those days. Everyone was part of a sound system, whether you followed one or, like I say, your older brother or your friends had a sound. I was fortunate that my dad had a small sound system in the Chelmsley Wood area where I was born and raised in Birmingham.
Okay.
So he was like the local sound that would play house parties. And we had a hall called Auckland Hall where he would string up on Saturday nights and set up his bar, and his friends would help out and he'd be playing music and for all the local people in our area. So I grew up with sound system. That was my first introduction to music. On a Thursday or Friday night, my dad would be sorting out his record box, going through his selection of music. Yeah. And as a young child, I'd be there seeing the turntable and the amplifiers and the speakers and stuff, and just fascinated with the whole thing. So that was my fascination.
I kind of grew up similar, and I know in my grandparents' house there used to be cellar parties. And I've got all pictures of like my dad and my uncles and stuff on the records. And so I kind of know them vibes, and you always music playing in the house. So
it was part of the tradition, of our families and our people growing up. And coming to England, I mean, even my dad came to England with his suitcase with his records in when he came from Jamaica. So music was just music, food and drink.
Oh yes, food, drink, and music.
that was how it was. And it was great times. Great times growing up. You know, I was the youngest of 6 children, but obviously when it came to my era of like in my early teens, I could go out with my older brothers to certain dances. As long as I was back by midnight or so, I could go with my older brothers and then come back. If it was a local party in the area, local blues or something going on, I had the chance to say, okay, go with your big brothers, make sure you look after
go with them. Was that the days where was you in the whole, you know, the youth club thing? Because the youth club thing was big back then.
Yes,
every man used to go teeth wood and build speaker boxes. So that's the amount of stories I hear from man back in them days. We're talking like mid 70s, possibly.
80s, I remember even like early 80s. That's right. We still had somewhere to go, listen music, and in my generation of growing up now, it was like a mix of electro, because some kids were into the break dancing and body popping and stuff, and then some of us were into like the DJing Jamaican style and singing. I was the one singer of our little crew, and everyone the music, it was just like a fusion, dancehall, reggae, lovers, and early hip hop.
So did you ever mess with any of the DJ thing? Did you ever, you know, chat lyrics, or was it just a how did that come around? Where did you figure out who was it who said, well, you can't sing? You know what I mean?
It was in the house when my dad parked up the sound and stopped playing around 79, 80. My dad stopped really playing out, but the sound was still in the house. So the turntable, the amps and the speakers. So when mum and dad went to work, my older brothers now would string up the sound and we'd play some dub and some instrumental, and we'd all be messing around on the mic and stuff like that. Older brothers might be DJing. And then one day I held the mic and just started to sing. And my brother looked at me and said, do that again. I can't remember what song I was singing. I think it was probably Altinelli's song back in those days, or a John Holt, something like that. And my brother said, do that again. And that was the start of, you know, this little voice developing. And from there, I used to make my little cassettes and play the rhythm and through the speaker and just sing through the little microphone on this little handheld kind of cassette machine, and build my little vibes like that and develop. The big push now was Handsworth Carnival.
Oh wow!
In the summer, because every time me and my older brothers would go, my older brother would push me up front and say, "Give this youth a chance around the mic," and some sounds would say no, and a couple of sounds said, Wassifa was the first sound that gave me the microphone.
Wassifa family, man. Big up Wassifa family. I know
Wassifa showcase.
There's a lot of sound system from Birmingham. So Wassifa, Love Express, Quaker, and so for you,
Now Generation, Romantic Bubbler, there's holy percent, Rockers, sounds galore.
Even out of Birmingham area. Tone and them sound.
Mafia Tone, yes.
So for you to go into Handsworth Carnival, and them kind of sounds are in there, how did they manage to even get you near a microphone? I'm sure there was some big man them around there, you know.
You know what it was? I think it was really growing up from a sound system background. We never, me or my brother never used to get to a dance and stand up under the speaker box, or we always used to go right to the sound as if we were part of the crew. We'd stand up right at the front and sometimes suggest to the selector, draw a Frankie Paul or play a cockatoo or something. So we were always up front around the control tower when it came to going and listening to sound systems. So approaching Wassifa or Now Generation or Romantic Bubbler, it was no real extra effort because we would have just done that anyway. That's just how we were when we
they kind of know you anyway. They know of your senior.
And they weren't trying to give the mic, to be honest, you know, even if they didn't know us. I think the fact that we had so much front.
The fact that it was make we see what they can do.
We just had this attitude,
at them times it was nothing to do with going and standing near the sound to be part of the sound, to, you know, for the ladies to be attracted to
it. So it was good vibes every carnival and festival. Sometimes Handsworth Park sounds would string up and we'd just go. Love Express was a sound that I sang on years back earlier. So portion of sound system, I just test out the vocals. I remember the first time Wassifa gave me the mic, it was on the back of the truck and they lift me up on the truck. Maccabee was there as well.
And
they played the answer rhythm, Frankie Paul, the answer rhythm The closer I get to you, I think was the song Frankie Paul.
Oh, okay.
When they flip the version, say we have a young singer from Chelmsley Wood named Bitty Mclean, and everyone's looking at who's this. And as soon as I started singing, the crowd just railed.
Wow,
it was amazing. Mash up.
You remember that feeling? You remember that feeling to know so the place.
The first time a crowd railed when they heard this little voice coming through the big Wasifa sound system. Like, wow. And then after that, true people didn't really know me that well. Rumor was going around. There's a singer called Billy the Kid. They didn't know my name was Bitty. They were saying, Billy the Kid, who's this singer? Billy the Kid. Every carnival he keeps coming and touching the mic. So no
did you have the name Bitty then? Did you have the name Bitty?
My name's been Bitty from birth. My grandmother gave me that name. Born small baby at birth, and they gave me the name Bitty. So that name's been with me. So
they just got it wrong. It was like they were just like, it's Billy.
It's Billy the Kid. Oh God, like some old Western movie. But it was good times. It was all good times throughout the 80s and coming right up until like 80, 88, 87, 88. And at that time, singing wasn't really a major thing, if I can say that. My main focus was to become a sound engineer. That was really what I wanted to do when I left school. Like I say, I was fascinated by the technical side of sound system, amplifiers and stuff like that. So sound engineering was really my focal point of what I wanted to do as a profession. And I was fortunate to find a college in a place called Wensbury, not far from Wolverhampton.
Oh, yeah.
And they were teaching a sound engineering course. It was a YTS, youth training scheme, but they taught us sound engineering.
YTS, in a way.
YTS, £20 a week to learn to become a sound engineer. But I was fortunate to meet a guy by the name of Alan Caves, who taught me in my second year at college, and he saw my potential in the studio and how I could operate the equipment and stuff. And he recommended me to Depp International, which was UB40 studio in Birmingham. They were looking for an assistant, and Al called the studio and said, I've got this young kid. His name's Del, because my real name's Delroy. He said, he's Del, and he's a great kid. If he write for you. And I went to the studio, and I met the engineer there, Dave Sneed, and we just hit it off. He said, see you on Monday morning. You've got the job. Wow. And that was 1990, just going into 1990.
Wow.
And I started my first job as an assistant sound engineer.
Wow. So did you get the typical Caribbean parent talk of what you doing with this music thing? Go pick up your book, did you get that?
Never.
But them days it was more fashionable to be a mechanic or be a this.
Get a trade.
Yeah.
My mum and dad never discouraged me where music was concerned. In fact, none of us, they never discouraged anything to do with music. And especially Jamaican music.
You say you got 6, you're one of 6, aren't you?
I've got 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do any of them
3 older brothers.
Musically into the music, doing anything?
Not musician. They love music. They collect music like no one's business. Yeah, so they collect music, and everyone in my family loves music. But I'm the only one that branched out and as a career in music in that sense. But all my family love music. But going back to the point of my parents saying, "Take up your book."
Yeah. None of that. No.
Wow. No. When I used to get my pocket money on a Saturday. Even went from the age of like 7 or 8, and I used to go to the little hardware store, and I used to buy a drawing book, and I'd come back and I'd draw my sound system, design my speakers and my amp and my turntable. I'd say, no, I'm gonna sound can look better than that, and I'd draw a different design for the speaker boxes. So
I thought I was the only one who did. Oh God!
So you see the musical bug. When you catch it from you can't get it out your system.
No, man, 100%.
Can't get it out. So I think my parents saw that from a young age and just knew, say, one of them are going to take up music, and I was the one that fulfilled that dream to get into, to take it the full distance in that sense.
Wow, that's big. That's definitely. Yeah, man, I like that. I like that your parents just, did did kind of encourage what you would, or
give us the freedom.
Didn't discourage?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And even with the early days of going out to local parties or a couple dance here and there, as long as my older brothers were looking after me and I got back before then, they could go back and stay till maybe 1 or 2, but I had to be back in the house by 11, 12 latest, back in the house as a young teenager, which was cool. You know, they just trusted that we go out. If you see any trouble, you move, you come back home, but stay out of trouble, and you're free to go where you want to go. So I give thanks for that. Definitely having my parents that were liberal in that sense. They weren't too conservative. You know,
are they still around? Are your parents still around?
Mum and Dad are still with us. Yes, give thanks. Nice. Yes, still retired now.
Well proud now, then,
and taking it easy. Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we've gone from then sound engineering in in UB40 studio. Obviously, UB40 were doing big things at that time, so that's like a massive step. You know what I mean?
Big step. They were on tour when I first started in the studio, so I had like 6 or 7 months to get used to the studio, and I was working with different acts that were higher in the studio and stuff. So when they got back off tour now, and I was meeting the group one by one, they'd come into the studio, and I say, "Yeah, that's Dale. That's the new assistant engineer." And I met Jerry Parchment, was the number 1 engineer. So again, we kicked it off from day one, and enough respect to Jerry Parchment, taught me lots along my journey, and we just got on for 2-3 years while working for UB40. You know,
So have you got some credits under your belt then for any of the songs that you worked on with UB40?
Promises and Lies, which was the biggest selling album. I co-produced. I played and I sang backing vocals.
Bitty Mclean on
you see you'll see Delroy McLean as engineering credits, and then you'll see Bitty as backing vocals. I did some backing vocals on songs like Can't Help Falling in Love. That was a big number 1 around the world. I did harmonies on that, and a couple other songs on the
I did not know that. People see this is a proper in-depth. You're learning things today, people.
That's what he said. This is a proper.
You're learning things today. We're digging up something. I didn't even know you. I knew you was engineering for them. I didn't know you.
No. I sang some harmonies and I played a couple of bass lines here and there on the album. So it was just work.
Did you come up with the Ratting on the Kitchen?
No. That was before my time.
Okay.
Slightly before my time. But it was a great experience. It was like any other job. You have good days, you have bad days, but it was a great experience to learn how to write, how to produce, how to arrange music, and again how to mix for a world-class audience. It wasn't just mixing a track for your friends down the pub, or no disrespect to your friends down the pub, but you're mixing and producing a product for the world market, and that was probably the greatest experience. One of the greatest experience for me.
That's a big learning experience, because there's many people who get on the scene as an artist and then they learn that stuff after of like mastering and production. But you started, the reverse way, where you've got all this kind of knowledge under your belt. So when you walk into a studio, you know what to deliver. That's really.
Right. Or what the finished product should look and what it should sound like. So again, I always say I give thanks. I don't take nothing for granted in this music industry. There's lots of artists, lots of musicians that get discouraged along the journey. There might be one thing that happens. A record company might let you go, or you miss a contract. You don't get the contract you were searching for, or something like that. And a lot of people get discouraged and give up. So I give thanks that my journey, it's had its ups and downs, but I've maintained and stayed focused on just doing what I love doing, which is making music, producing, and being on stage, performing it.
That's well blessed. So then we step into like 93, 94?
93, yes. 93. Another big step for me now.
So let me break this down a little bit now, because we know how the reggae thing goes. Those days, when I used to see Top of the Pops and thing, I'd see when you see a reggae song on Top of the Pop, you get excited, because
a one-off. You see a Dennis Brown or Sugar Minor.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You see someone who's been bubbling on the scene for years and years, and then they finally get a song.
get
what gets in the
one
charts.
break. Yeah.
But brother, your thing was different. The next, all of a sudden, because I was buying records them time. My dad used to sell records in a record shop. So when I see this, like, boom, Bitty Mclean with this reggae song, it's raining. It keeps raining.
It keeps raining with the first one, yes. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because I remember I bought it on 7-inch and it's got the little collar with the photo on you and everything.
Yeah.
My dad, I said, who's this guy? Where he come from? Like,
it's spring from nowhere. Yeah, only a few people. When I say a few, some people would have known me from back
like
in the day,
Birmingham kind of vibes.
Yeah.
So how did that come around? How did you just suddenly go from studio engineer to national charts, like literally overnight?
Literally, but again, in quiet times in the studio, because it was rare to see the whole band UB40 in the studio working together. You'd have like a couple of members would turn up and work, 2 other members would come in. So there would be days where no one turns up, or Ali might turn up and say, "Who's working today?" Say, I think Earl's coming in today, and he'd be sitting around, and then Earl doesn't turn up. So I thought, I'm not sitting down doing nothing. I used to occupy my time, build my little rhythm tracks.
Right.
And voice my ideas, put my little ideas down, and then that might be a Wednesday, Thursday, you're back to work on the UB40 project. And then Monday, quiet day, no one's turning up. So again, build a couple more rhythm and keep myself occupied in the studio. So that's how most of my debut album came about. It Keeps Raining, dedicated to the one I love, Here I Stand. Most of those songs that became chart hits were recorded in downtime in the studio where nothing was going on, and I just built my ideas and put my little thing together. When I recorded It Keeps Raining, and in fact, if I can rewind, me and Jerry Parchment, who were the 2 engineers that were working in the studio, we were having a conversation about Fats Domino, who, as you know from our parents' generation, Fats Domino would be a big artist from my mum and dad's generation.
Yeah.
And Jerry was saying, do you know a song called I Want to Walk You Home? I'm saying, I know Fats Domino. My dad's got Fats Domino. I've never heard that song. So when I get home, I'm going to check the LP and see if I know the song. So I went home, listened to my dad's Fats Domino LP, and, like Old Sound Man, they used to scratch out.
No label, no tag, nothing on the label, It's like just so a man can't go on. Oh, gosh.
Or they might put a tick or a little mark against the key tune on the record. So I knew songs like Blueberry Hill, I'm Walking, certain key tunes on the LP. So when I got to I Want to Walk You Home, which was the song Jerry was talking about, that's a nice tune, but I've never heard it. Okay. Yeah. Flip the LP over, touch the record, and It Keeps Raining. It's playing. It's a hit. If ever I've heard a song, that's a hit. Put it on cassette, went to the studio, sampled the rhythm, built a drum beat, played some bass on it, and voiced the tune. So you
built the whole rhythm?
Yeah. So the next day, I played the tune to Ali. I said, Ali, listen to this. Ali's listened. Bad tune, but change the drum beat's wrong. Change the drum beat.
Okay.
So I'm kind of getting in my feelings now. Man can't tell me about me. Man can't tell me about the drum beat, but I'll let it go. So Ali sat round the drum kit now and he started playing. Said, Bitty, put that beat on that song and it's a hit. So I just took his advice, programmed the beat, played it back and everything. The next day, played it to him with the beat that he told me. He said, Bitty, it's a hit. If that ain't a hit, I don't know nothing about music. So we were having a discussion. I said, I want to press some white labels. Okay. So he said, okay, go to the accountant, find out how much 500 record costs. Go to the accountant and tell him to write you a check for that amount. So I done my research.
Yeah.
£590 to press 500 white labels, master it and do the cut and everything. So went to the accountant, got the money, came to London, went to Jack Hubby's in East London to cut the stamper.
Got the stamper,
and then went to another company, and 3 weeks later, came to London, collected my 500 white labels and just started distributing them in the independent stores around the place, like Don Christie's, Bailey's, Summit Records. And then I came to London, shops like Daddy Cool.
Supertone and place there.
Jetstar, every shop. Every shop I went to, leave a 5 at this shop, leave 10 at that shop, and went back to Birmingham now. And then someone in the office said, have you sent a copy of your song to Neil Ferris, who was the record plugger at that time for UB? He was representing UB40, as well as people like Janet Jackson, all the top names.
Yeah.
Neil Ferris was the TV and radio plugger at that time. And someone suggested, send Neil a copy of your record. Fine, I got nothing to lose. We put it in a parcel. Neil Ferris. 2 days later, Neil Ferris called the office and said, who's this Bitty Mclean? I've received a record from your office.
Yeah.
Same thing again. And it's a hit record. We need to talk. I thought, wow. Met with Neil Ferris and he started a label off the back of It Keeps Raining. Brilliant record was started to release my production, so to speak.
Okay.
So the White Labels was in March 1993. And by July 1993, the record was in the charts, national charts.
Yeah,
just like that.
I know you never came to Manchester with no White Label. Can we never get none? But
we never reached so far.
They run out. Yeah, they run.
I never used to even drove a car them days. I was on the train and on the coach up and down London, Birmingham. But Neil Ferris took the record and turned it into a monster. It went to 31, I think, the first week, and then it just climbed every week. 19, 11, 5, and number 2. That's where it peaked at, number 2 in the UK charts. So it was just like, I don't know. I mean, at the time, you don't even think about it. It's just like you're in a whirlwind.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, because to me, it was just like, bang.
From nowhere.
And I'm sure at those times it teased me. It was the times when like Shaggy was with Old Carolina and Chaka D.
That's right.
Like, so all those little songs.
Everyone was in the same.
The
era.
Sweats. I don't know if they in a circle and then, but it was
Apache
that era.
Apache Indian was in the chart as well. Who else? It was just everyone. It was probably the best year for reggae. 93, 94. I don't think the chart has ever had so much reggae tunes in the chart. And
Trust
everyone
me, them days, man. I remember them days. I remember them because I'll be honest with you. Back in them days, like when I was going to school, everyone was into hip hop and this, and I'm there with my reggae. Yes. Like, what do you mean reggae? And then that year come,
everyone has to tune into what's going on.
Everyone has to tune in. Trust me.
So it was a great era, and it's funny. There's a clip on, I think it's on Instagram of when the first time I did Top of the Pops and UB40 introduced me. They were on tour, and even they were shocked. Bitty's in the chart. So they introduced me from America. This is our friend from Birmingham, Bitty Mclean. It Keeps Raining. And even they were shocked and surprised to know that things have kicked off into a different direction for me, from behind the desk to now on stage, do my own thing.
Wow, that's crazy. So then the album was another hit album. Obviously, you're
just to let you know,
my singles. Yeah, just to let you
album. We done, I think that year. This is what I'm saying about being disillusioned or losing hope, because It Keeps Raining was a massive hit in Europe. We had success in Australia, New Zealand, and stuff like that. The second single now, nothing happened. It was a song called Pass It On, which is a Wailers song, which I've done. Yeah. And I think it got to number, I don't know, 38 or something, and that was it. And at that point, it was like, no, we have to get back on track here. And it was fortunate that the January 1994, I was touring with UB40. I was supporting UB40 on their tour of the UK. Yeah. And we released the ska tune, Here I Stand, was released in January and brought us straight back into the top 10. I think that went to number 8 and mash up the place again. And again, success around Europe and stuff like that. And then on the back of the UB40 tour, we released Dedicated to the One I Love, which again was another top 10 hit again. So it was a nice spell of, it was just another chapter, so to speak, from being an engineer for 3 years to now being an artist in your own right and doing your own thing. And it was good days, good times.
Lots of TV, lots of touring off the back of that as well. Where did you tour?
Holy per TV. I did Europe. I toured again with UB40 in Spain and France. That was one of the biggest tours I'd done, and we were playing to audience. Like, we were playing the Bull Rings in Spain.
Wow.
So it was massive. We were playing to like 50,000, 60,000 people a night. So that was a real like eye opener of how this thing really works and the amount of people that can come out and enjoy music. That was a really big tour.
Did you find it weird being from Birmingham, obviously, and us having the Caribbean background, and then you go to places like Spain and Europe and other countries in Europe, and it's like reggae is just massive.
Yeah, I mean, the first time, I think Belgium was the first time I went doing promotion for It Keeps Raining.
Okay.
And it's just an eye-opener. Everywhere you went, people love reggae. Holland, especially Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, Sweden, Norway. Everywhere we went, it was just like people love the music. So again, it comes back to gratitude and giving thanks, because the road was cut by, the Jimmy Cliffs, the Bob Marley, the Toots and the Maytals. I mean, these are the artists that cut, the UB40s that cut the road for these markets, for people to even know about Jamaican music. So I give lots of gratitude to the founders, my peers.
Wow. Anyway, so again, if you just locked in, you've missed like half of the interview, people. So go press rewind and catch it from the start, or watch it on my YouTube, or you can listen it back again on the Mixcloud. But I have with me my special guest, the one and only Mr. Bitty Mclean, aka Delroy.
Still here, man.
People
I'm good. I don't think say, who's Delroy? Yes, that's me.
Delroy is a proper Jamaican name,
Thank you. Thank you.
And the reason why I say
no getting away.
Why it's one of the best names is because my first name is Christopher, but my second name, my middle name is Delroy.
Look at that. See, great name. Great name.
A great name, man. It's
Winston and Delroy.
Winston, every family has a Winston. Every family have a Delroy, a Mikey, or a Michael.
That's right, a Lloydie.
Yeah, a Lloydie, a Richard, Richie.
Yeah.
Those are the names, man. Those are the proper Caribbean. Then you had Leroy, Delroy.
Leroy, yeah.
Right, yeah.
That Roy, isn't it? Oh gosh, wicked.
So anyway, we was up to the success of
the 90s,
busting onto the scene in 93. But then there was a little lull in things.
Yes.
For a little period. So what was going on after that whole period with the first album?
Back to engineering and producing. We released a second album in 95, but never really got much love.
I didn't even know that. I don't think I've even come across it. What was the second album?
There's an album called Natural High. And we had a couple of top 40s off that album, but never really hit the mark in that sense. I'd gone to Jamaica. I recorded with Sly and Robbie in 1995. It was a project with Ali, but again, got caught up with record company politics, and the album was never released. So from that point, I thought, it's time out now, and went back to doing production work. I produced some acts from Hawaii, Belgium, produced a couple of albums with Lloyd Brown from here in London.
Okay. Yeah, man, big singer, big UK singer again.
And then went back to even the college where I was taught to be an engineer. I went back and done some mentoring for a year or so, which was nice, working with my old teacher, my old lecturer, Alan Caves. And then after, I remember finishing that year with the students and saying, if you see me back next year, it didn't work because I've got a plan. I've got a plan to go back behind the microphone. And if you see me next year, the plan didn't work. And the plan was recording the album on Bond Street, which I spent a year recording and producing that album. And Walk Away from Love was released.
2000s?
That's right, yeah, early 2000s. I think the thing that got me back into the music, I was invited to go to Hawaii to produce an artist. There was an independent label that had licensed 2 songs from me from my first album, one from my first album and one from my second album, 2 ballads, a song called Forever Be Mine. And the second song was a Sam Cooke song, Nothing Can Change This Love. And around 2000, 2001, those songs were being played non-stop on radio on the islands, Maui and Honolulu. So the label contacted me and asked, could they license these 2 songs for a compilation album?
Yeah.
I said, sure, nothing to lose. Licensed the 2 songs to them. And then about 6 months later, they said, Bitty, would you come over and produce? We've got an artist here that we're working with doing an album. Would you come over and produce a few tracks on his LP? And I was like, yeah.
Okay.
So
Nice.
went to Hawaii for 6 weeks. Invited.
You're not going to turn down Hawaii now, really, are you?
No. I mean, I've been
Birmingham's
there once
nice,
before.
but
Been there once before. I think 97 we went to Hawaii. Beautiful. The people, the tradition, the culture, everything's perfect. So when Patty from Hawaii contacted me, I said, yeah, sure. Invited my then girlfriend, and we got married in Hawaii. We've been together now 35 years.
Wow.
So it was like, let's seal the deal. So 2001, went there, done some work, got married, came back to the UK and thought, yes, it's time to get back behind the microphone. I've been producing and engineering for a while now. It's time for me to get myself back in gear. And I've done a short license deal with Trojan Records. They put a short best of album out for 3 years and stuff like that. Generated some cash and started working on Bond Street album. Walk Away From Love was released in 2003. And again, it just went bang. Bitty Mclean back on the scene.
Wow. Yeah, that's like
album,
an iconic piece of song, that one, really.
Yeah, and captured, because not everywhere in the world knew about Bitty Mclean. Europe, parts of Europe knew Bitty from the 90s, but I'd never done anything on the main island of America. I'd never done anything on the States, release-wise or anything. So it just opened new avenues. Japan was a new market after the release of the On Bond Street album. Florida, Miami, Canada. The world just opened up and said, yeah, Bitty Mclean. Yeah,
so
they love what they're hearing.
So the Bond Street album then, was that the concept that you had, was like to go and jump on some older rhythms, or how did
That's
you,
exactly
was it you, did you approach Peckins them, or?
The whole concept of the album, I'd approached Trojan first, actually, to do a similar concept, but whoever was in charge of Trojan just turned it down flat. No, not interested.
They're lost, really.
So I was at the Townhouse, which is a cutting room in Shepherd's Bush, Goldhawk Road, where we used to cut from UB40 days. We master and do all our stuff. So I was there one day doing some stuff, walked down to Askew Road, and I was having a conversation with Chris Peckins or his brother.
Yeah.
Chris had sent me a reading, but it was a do-over of a Treasure Isle reading. It was like a relic. Yeah. And it was nice, but I thought, you can't beat the original. You can't beat the original. So I went down to the shop to give the CD back, and I was having a conversation with his brother, and he said, yeah, Treasure Isle, yeah, we've got permission to use Treasure Isle. And from I heard that, I went back home now, started going through my catalogue of Treasure Isle, because back in the 90s when I was working at UB40 studio, and I'd come to London, hang out with me and Missy would hang out, and I'd always go to the record fairs or record shops. And at that time, there was so much stuff being released on CD.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people didn't want CD, didn't want reggae on CD. It was like that changing point from vinyl to
period,
CD.
Wasn't it? That slight change where
and
CD
no one was into
it.
They were just sitting on the shelf. So I was picking up all the vintage stuff on CD at that time. So my Treasure Isle collection was vast at that time. So I went in my studio and started sampling, putting ideas together and stuff like that, and just started voicing tune after tune. So the concept of the album was original Treasure Isle with new songs and a few covers.
Yeah.
And the covers that I chose were really songs that I imagined Alton would have sang, John Holt would have sang, because there were cover songs that were done in the Treasure Isle period. I think songs like Ain't That Loving You is a cover. There's a few covers that are in the Treasure Isle catalogue. Yeah, songs that were covered by our great Jamaican artists, even Studio One.
A lot of the stuff from back in them days, wasn't it? A lot of the Alton Ellis stuff and the John Holt stuff is, and to be honest, you don't realize until you hear like the American.
Years later.
Wait.
Years later, you discover that it was a cover version. So I had that same idea. If I'm going to do a cover, it has to be someone like Curtis Mayfield or Smokey Robinson, or the Temps.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
this is where Walk Away came in, because I was going through a CD of solo works by David Ruffin, Eddie Kendricks, and Paul Williams, their own individual songs that they did in their time with Motown. And as soon as I heard Walk Away, and I put the rhythm on, I said, that's the key, it's done. Yeah, perfect. Walk Away on the Rocksteady rhythm, put that together. Cruising on another rhythm, I think the rhythm was called Folk Song. And the third cover on the album was Make It With You, Davy Gates and Bread on the Queen Majesty rhythm. Yeah. And the rest of the album was my own compositions. And that, again, it was like, that was the second coming now. It was like a reintroduction of Bitty Mclean to a wider market now. I know I had success in England and Europe, but this just went everywhere, you know, the world, you might as well say.
And I think
we're introduced to Bitty Mclean.
It's the timeless rhythms, isn't it? It's those rhythms where people hear rhythms like
the sound and the chemistry,
or Moonlight Lover or Rocksteady.
Yes.
And they're familiar with that. And then they hear your vocals over it, and it's like
a new version. But it's not a new version of the rhythm. It's not a relic rhythm. It's that same authentic,
the original authentic rhythm with the newer vocals on it, and it's just
captured a new market and reintroduced me as a singer back on the market. And we worked together for about a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
And it dissolved. It came to a natural end. I won't go into much more detail.
All right.
But it came to a natural end where it was time to move on and find a new home. And here comes Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare, the great Sly Dunbar and the great Robbie Shakespeare, who were like, Bitty, we know Bitty from 95. There's a guy called Guillaume.
What, 10 years prior to, so we're into what, mid 2005,
2006, that's right. There was a guy by the name of Guillaume Bougard, who's a producer from France. He's worked with Sly and Robbie a number of times, and he heard the On Bond Street album, and he had a conversation with Sly and Robbie, you know, do you know this singer Bitty Mclean? And they were like, of course we know Bitty.
Yeah.
So he was putting the word out, trying to find me for like 9 months. And then it was the same label in Hawaii who I'd worked for. Patty called me one day and said, Bitty, there's a guy looking for you. His name's Guillaume. He's from France. And he wants to do some work with you with Sly and Robbie. And I said, someone told me that a few months ago. I said, all right, that's the number. Send me the number and I'll give him a call. So when I called Guillaume, I was like, yeah, this is Bitty. What do you want?
I thought it was hard for me to get hold of you, but the man took 9 months to find you, brother.
Boy, he never lets me forget that. I remember the first time he called me, and you weren't even warm. You were just like, "What you want?"
Yeah.
But I think if anyone had been through what I'd been through the past 18 months with my previous partners, you're just not going to be nice to anyone who's knocking at your door again. So I gave him like the cold, what you want? Yeah. He said, no, Bitty, I work with Sly, introduced himself politely and everything. I've got some rhythms I'd like you to voice, and we can go to Jamaica and work with Sly and Robbie. So even at that point, I was still kind of like in two minds.
Yeah.
But Sly and Robbie were playing the Jazz Cafe like 2 weeks after I made that phone call. So I went down to the Jazz Cafe and I pulled Robbie aside and I said, Mr. Shakespeare, there's a guy from France says he got some rhythms of you and Sly and he wants me to do some work. And Robbie was like, wave me him. And I said, Guillaume Bougard. I said, no, Bitty, he's good, man. He's my soldier.
Yeah.
Anything him say, he's good.
Yeah.
So we're back, made a connection again. I said, yeah, man, send some stuff. Send what you got. He said, I've got the Hold On to What You Got with him, Dennis Brown.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you that. So I said, okay, yeah, no problem. Just send what you got and I'll see what I can do. So the morning, it was like 2 weeks later, I don't know where, I'd written a song called The Real Thing, like in 1995. It was a B-side.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, that morning, the song just came into my mind. And as the song came to my mind, I'll never forget, the doorbell rang and it was a FedEx van outside. Went downstairs, guy gave me a parcel and it was the tapes for Hold On to What You Got with him, Dennis Brown. put the tapes in. Straight in the studio, put the tapes in, listen to the rhythm. We got the real thing. I said, yeah, it's right. Voiced it same time. One take, real thing. Mixed it, sent it to Robbie, and Robbie just said, put it out now. Put it out now. And started a label, Taxi. Silent River is my production. Taxi, Sly and Robbie. Started a label. And the real thing was the first song, 2006, that was released, I believe. And again, went from the rocksteady era of Treasure Isle up to date now with Rubber Dub. And again,
there was the two albums with Peckins, them two, and
one.
It's okay. One.
Yeah, right. There's one. There's a pirate album, but the official album is On Bond Street.
Okay, people scratch. You never hear that. One album, people. Okay.
Yeah, anyway. These things happen. But, you know,
these are the things that make you stronger, though. These are the things. Make you want to, you know. Like you say, you go through many things in life, innit, where you just say, why do I really want to continue with this?
This is it. And you get the ups and downs, but you just have to keep focus on the vision of what it is you want in music. And the main thing for me, I never came into music for fame and to show off and beat my chest and say, you know who I am. Because we come from a generation where we had nothing to show off about with our friends when we were growing up. You know, everyone was on the same level. You come to my house, you eat at my home, and if I come to yours, your mom and dad would say, "You want something to eat?" And you have manners, and so we had nothing to show off about when in my generation of growing up. And I believe that's the way to be. Even at my age,
I'm in a similar generation. I don't think I probably look older than you.
No. But you know, with older brothers, and it's the same generation. We all grew with the same concept and the same.
It was that time, isn't it? It was that time where community looked after you. You go to your friend.
Thank you.
And that was that community feel. So you may be on road, but yet your friends them or your brother's friends them, you're calling those people, their parents, auntie and uncle out of respect for things. You know what I mean? So that's where we go for respect.
You walk in and you see one of your mum and dad's friends, you say hello in the same way, and they show that's right. And you show manners and respect to your parents' friends same way. So that was the generation that I grew up with. So there's no showing off or music was for me. And I go back to, I remember the first time I heard one of my songs play on the radio. It was Here I Stand, and it was a local community radio in Birmingham, PCRL. I think it was
PCRL. Wow.
1992. There's a friend, Trevor Ranks, who I gave a cassette to play. And for me, it was always about just being heard. If I can be heard, that's it for me. You know, if I can make a record and it can be played and people can hear it, that's the magic. You know, if people can connect to the song and it becomes part of their soundtrack.
Yeah,
that's the key. You know, money will come. You know, you put your work in and money will come, you know, down the line. So it's not a case of I'm just making records and counting the checks, how much checks will arrive next week.
This is it. I mean, at the end of the day, the music that you have recorded is a legacy. You know, the some of these songs are really, really timeless reggae. And when we did the introduction before, and I think people, we have to put you in that kind of category where you are an iconic reggae singer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You are iconic. And we've not been doing it for like 2 to 5 years.
No.
We've been on a foundation to this.
I've got the scars. I've got the scars, not to see in the grey hairs.
well, for real.
Battered and bruised in this music industry. So, you know, it's been a long time, long road.
Yeah, I think even the Taxi Project, because obviously off the back of Walk Away from Love, it's like such a big song. And they see a lot of, you know, you turn out the love songs and those kind of stuff like that. But this kind of gave you the rubber dub, which I kind of say is the almost the Birmingham aspect of Bitty, because for those of you who don't know Birmingham was a place where it's a rubber dub place in a people.
So
when I hear somebody sit and
rubber dub and roots, man, we love our roots music in Birmingham.
Brother. So when I hear you singing on some of the rhythms from that album, and there's songs on there where there's conscious vibes There's conscious rootical songs as well as some serious love songs. And I think people don't acknowledge that you do both very well.
It's there for eyes to see and ears to hear. It's all out there for people, and if they haven't discovered it as yet, it's still there to be discovered. And it's Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare that have shaped and carved the Bitty Mclean that you can see or what you can hear now. Because how can I put it? It's like when Sly Dunbar sends you a rhythm track, it's just like the whole game changes. The bar is raised to a totally different level. No disrespect to any other producers or musicians out there, but the musicians that I grew up miming, when we used to listen to Sly Dunbar on record, my dad plays some Sly and Robbie, and used to be there miming the drums, and you didn't know who Sly Dunbar was or what he looks like. And then years later to be in a studio with the man or on tour with Sly and Robbie, the game changes.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the test over the past 16 years.
Wow.
To become a better writer, a better arranger, a better sound engineer. And with the knowledge of Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare, I believe I've grown in that status in terms of a better songwriter, better engineer, and a better producer. And I don't think I would have ever been able to achieve that working in a different team, if that makes sense. I think Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare were really the perfect team for me to develop, because every day you learn. It's not like you're in music and you know everything. You can discover a song today that you've never heard of, or a song that's been recorded years ago and you find out it's a cover. This is the original version. So every day in music we can learn. But I give thanks. I keep saying the past 16 years with Sly and Robbie have really brought the best out of me in terms of music and as a singer and as a performer. Definitely.
16 years is a long time. So, and obviously you've had a couple of albums under them.
Yeah, it was only brought to my attention the other day. I'm probably the longest serving artist with Sly and Robbie. I mean, they produced Black Uhuru and everyone, Sugar Minott, Gregory. But as an artist that was in the camp with Sly and Robbie and work with them and tour with them, someone was saying, it's you, you've been working with them for the longest time as an artist, not only just singing, but involved in the production and the mixing of everything. Because I don't believe Sly and Robbie really let artist get involved in that side of their production. Yes, I'm probably the first. Well, then again,
you come from good school. I mean, you come from...
That's my school,
B40 and stuff like that. And again, you're not just an artist. You're firstly a sound engineer. With a good ear. So if they know, they recognize that. And obviously trust you around them to deal with some of that stuff. So so we're rolling into what we're going from you formed the label, so mid 2000s. Then we're stepping on, because what I noticed as well, you don't rush to flood the market with material.
No,
by no means at all. Is that just something that is the way you prefer to work, or do you?
It's just the natural way to do it for me. I think. If everyone follows the same pattern, it's almost like my thing is against the wave, against the wind, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
On Bond Street was like that. There was nothing like that at that time. Yeah. If you were listening to modern dancehall and reggae, there was nothing that was in the marketplace like on Bond Street at that time. And then by the time I started working with Sly and Robbie and we'd done the real thing again, there was nothing else. It was like two different, I'm going against the grain, but it worked for me. I can't say if it could work for another artist, because what you find, most artists nowadays want to be on a hit rhythm. So if a rhythm is a hit, every singer will say, I want to voice that rhythm to make a hit. Whereas I never looked at it like that. I always think that when you create something, I know there's been like rhythms like The Real Thing, which was a sample of a Dennis Brown rhythm, but I think it's like going to a suit shop and getting a tailor-made suit, or going to a high street store and just buying what's on the shelf. The jacket might fit right, but the trousers might be too tight. So when it comes to rhythms, when you have tailor-made rhythms, like the way I see Sly and Robbie work, if I voice a tune, the first thing Robbie used to say is, send me the drums and the vocal. That's all I want. Send me that.
Oh, okay.
And I will play a new bass line. I will find a bass line specifically for the song that you've sang. And that's how 90% of the songs that I've worked with Sly and Robbie original have been done in that format, where it's tailor-made. The rhythm is tailor-made. And sure, you could give the rhythm to 10 different singers and they could voice their song on said rhythm. But I think what works for me is that I was never part of the juggling in that, if that makes sense. I never got involved in the juggling sequence. So when you play a Bitty Mclean or you play a sequence of Bitty Mclean, it's some one away rhythms that you play.
You are on,
and that works for me.
Yeah, you are on a couple of jugglings out there.
Yeah,
so you will go into it
there's
now
a couple.
Again. But I think that is the unique thing, is that when you get a Bitty album, it's an album. It's not a compilation from juggling.
No. Or 5 or 6 different producers.
Yes,
a collection of singles from 6 or 7 different producers in that sense. Because it's still old school Dr. C. Some of the best albums were made. If you go to Studio One, it was one producer, Cox and Dodd. If it was Treasure Isle, it was Duke Creed. If it was Black Ark, it was Lee Perry. So, and if it was Channel One, it was the Hooking Brothers. So we've kind of lost that format in making LPs, where it's a variation of producers, and when you put the songs together, to me sometimes it sounds disjointed, because from one track to the next you hear the different sound of a different producer from there, and that isn't
become best of songs. They become almost like compilations of best
compilation. Thank you, a compilation as opposed to a concept of an LP, and it goes right back to my days working with UB40 and learning from that era how things are done. Not saying that their way is the only way.
Though you've come from that UB40 school, and then the Sly and Robbie Taxi school. So again, all that shows the mold in what you put out at the moment. It's not flooding the market with a million singles trying to get to number one. It's producing a quality piece of material which will sound timeless and can play.
Because the music alone will live. I mean, that's a saying that we say all the time. Music alone shall live. So there's no reason for me to flood the market. That's never been my concept ever, to just keep putting out single after single after single. No. And like I say, it might not work for every artist, but that works for me in that sense. I can sit back for 2 years and put an album together and know, yes, it's right now. Yeah. Between me, Sly, Dumbo, and Robbie, we can say, we're ready now, ready to drop some music. And it's like I say, it's worked for me. It's worked. I could have put out
most definitely
in 30 years. I could have put out 30 albums by now, but I don't know how many of those albums would have really stood the test of time. To be honest, if you're really honest, I don't know. Whereas I've got 5 or 6, and my early stuff, It Keeps Raining, is still being played around the world, dedicated. Bond Street is still being played, and my Sly and Robbie stuff is still capturing ears in the States and places like that, Japan. So
because you're massive in Japan though, and I think
no I'm only 5'8". It's like, I think it's the same. We come back to the same conclusion. You see, the artists that cut the road. You have an audience that haven't shifted from the authentic Jamaican sound, whether it's roots, rubber, dub, ska, rocksteady, or even dancehall. They always focus back on the original way it was done. So a singer like me can fit in the ska, I can fit in the rocksteady era with my peers, and I can fit in the rubber dub era as well. So they can identify, Bitty, Sly and Robbie, we can identify with that sound and that style, if that makes sense. And I think that's what works for me in a market like Japan. Wow. I'm not up to date and current in that sense. And we know some of the criticisms about current sounds of the music. But it works for me, old and new. I'm like that balance of the old.
You do what fits you, don't you? It's
that's right.
And you found it, and it's worked. There's no need if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not saying it's been easy, because like I say, to spend a year or two making an album on every project, that's time and energy, that goes into to doing that. But I enjoy it. I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with, the team of musicians that I've been honored to work with. It's been great.
So we forward, we forward to 2023. I mean, is this the third or the fourth album on the
This is the third. There was a couple of EPs in between. There's Moving On was the first, and then there was the Taxi Sessions, which was 2011, I think, and then there was an EP, Heart, Mind and Soul.
Okay.
There's a couple of singles in between. Love Restart was 2018.
Yeah,
2018, and obviously we had the 2 years off, pandemic and stuff. So what would have been Forward would have been released maybe 2021 in normal situation. But we just held back and took time to finish. You know, we lost Robbie in 2021 as well. So that was the shock to the system.
Was the album already finished before the passing?
Not completed, no. There were still songs that were in the making in that sense. There was plenty of rhythms on tape. So the last 4 or 5 songs were really rhythms that were laid down. I think Back in My Arms goes back to even 2007. The second track on the album, Back in My Arms, is a rhythm that we laid, and it just sat on tape. I said, I'll find the song one day. I'll find the lyrics for that one day.
So that song, Back in My Arms, been sat there from 2007.
The rhythm, I never wrote. The rhythm, I didn't write the song until 2021, 22. But the rhythm was there. But to me, that's testament of when something's done properly. There's no age. The music doesn't age. Yeah, because
again, no one would know. Listening to it, it sounds fresher. No one would know that. Yeah. This is it. Glass House is a rhythm that was again 2009. A rhythm that Robbie built and said, Bitty. I said, okay, I'll come back to that one. And Glass House 2009, that rhythm. And then what we done, we totally not rebuilt the whole rhythm, but again, Robbie sent me the drums and sent me the vocal. And Robbie just constructed his bass line to fit a new song, and it's just a new rhythm again. So, wow, that's crazy. So this project there, so it's been there for a while. Obviously, with COVID and stuff, you just decided to hold it,
hold back,
and drop it now. Obviously, again, it must be difficult to put this out knowing the passing of Robbie and stuff. How was that?
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
Because the final chapter of anything that we worked on was me and Robbie. So I'd send Robbie a mix. I'm in my studio. I'd send Robbie the mix, and he'd listen and say, Robbie would say, Bitty, push up the bass. And then I'd send Sly a mix, and Sly would say, Bitty, push up the drums. So I'm in the middle now. I say, I'm the singer. I'm just going to push up the vocal. So I'm always on top, but. That's like me and Robbie were like the last at the end, and said, "Richie, man, we shot the piano a little bit, and we'd go through the mix overnight until it was perfect. And like by morning, I'd send Robbie the final mix, and yes, right now. So not having Robbie for the last chapter was, that was bittersweet. Wow. But he's with us in spirit, man, and the works that he's done, he's solid as a rock, like at the foundation. So I can't stop giving thanks that. Me from Chelmsley Wood, Birmingham, young kid from Chelmsley Wood, Birmingham, who used to mime when my dad used to play Channel 1, saying, I'm Sly Dunbar. And my older brother would say, I'm Robbie Shakespeare on bass.
Oh, wow.
I'm finally, worked with the greats, man, and spent some quality time, toured many a tour with Sly and Robbie, America, Japan. We've been to China, Morocco, Europe.
All over the world. Really.
All over. Yeah, and I had great times. It's just proper, proper times with
Hold on a second. So we're running out of time again? Oh my days. People, we're still here. Bitty is here live and direct on the screen. We're
can't get rid of me.
We don't want to get rid of you. We are forwarded to 2023, people. We're talking about this brand new album, which is called Forward. And it's got 11 tracks and a dub. 11 tracks and a dub.
Yes, yeah.
As we were saying, a couple of the songs, rhythms have been around circulating for a while, which you've dusted off nicely.
Yeah.
Let me take the first song. So my personal, I got 2 real big favorites at the moment.
Wicked.
How time change.
Yeah. And LP, you did. Yeah. You warm to our next tune. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's all good.
So the first one is obviously the first song, which is Be Accepted.
Be Accepted, yeah, wicked.
When I heard that, I was like, wow.
Nice, respect, man.
big tune.
Yeah.
So talk me through. Where did this?
Be Accepted was probably one of the first. There were 4 songs that kind of solidified the Forward album, and we're starting an album now. Be Accepted was one of them. That was really the starting point of the whole project. And it was a rhythm that was on tape. And again, pushed it up, listening. The song just came naturally because I don't write lyrics. I just sing. I go into tape mode and record.
And so you don't write anything. You just head top business.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll write my lyrics when the song's finished. I'll type my lyrics out after, and I might say, "Oh, change that word or change that word." But 99% of the songs that I sing, I just voice, get a melody in my mind, and just record. So there's always an element of something of the first take of the song because I go straight into record mode when I'm recording. So Be Accepted. And I remember when Robbie heard it, he was like, "Bitty, wicked." But Robbie was saying, just do it as a drum and bass. Don't put nothing else.
No pun.
Just leave it raw. I'm thinking, I'd love to, but boy.
Yeah.
Because when Robbie Lynn plays his keys, the whole rhythm just melts, man.
Mm-hmm.
Organ and piano. And I thought, I've got to have Robbie Lynn play on these tracks. We finished it off and produced it and polished it and everything. But Robbie was like, drum and bass, man, the whole...
Put everything back.
Say, boy. But yeah, Be Accepted definitely was one of the key songs that started the project. Where Is Your Love and Glass House and a song called Beauty You Are. They were the 4 songs.
Okay.
And when we got to that point, Rob was saying, "Yeah, man, how much more we got left to do?" And I was saying, "Yeah, 6 more." And we got the body of the album, and we continued to work from there. But the last 4, the songs like Lover's Gone, which came directly from Sly. That rhythm came from Sly.
That sounded like somebody broke your heart, broke. I was like,
oh gosh.
we go from like Be Accepted, then we go into the proper lovers. We go with the proper In My Arms, Let's Make Up, then the proper lovers. Then all of a sudden, love gone. Just like boom, love gone. Pack up and gone.
No, it's just like scenarios, Not everything is from my experience in that sense, but you just create a scenario and say, "Yeah, I really want to sing something on." It's like contrasts, if that makes sense. In an album, you have songs that are upbeat, and you have some songs that really touch the heart in that sense. So contrasts within the album.
Okay, nice. Then One Nation. One Nation is a nice feel good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. But Song of Hope and.
This you didn't release. You released this in Japan first. This album.
Yes, it was released in Japan.
You left off One Nation, didn't you?
That's right. The running order is different in Japan. I don't think Glass House isn't on the Japanese version either. I was supposed to tour Japan in October 2022.
Right.
But with their COVID restrictions, because Japan hadn't opened up like here in Europe as yet. Yeah. So it was impossible to get the visa in time. So the album was there, and it was like, do we drop it now or wait until January 23? I thought, drop it, man, because it's there. It's just going to be sitting there. I said, no, man, drop it, man, because we already advertised the album's coming and stuff. And I said, yeah, drop it, because at least it builds up to January when I went and done the tour in Japan. And then with the UK edition, I added One Nation and Glass House, slightly different running order, and dropped it here, and it's going well.
As my listeners will know, I've been beating somebody sang them, and they'll be like, "Yo, send me a copy. Send your copy. You think this business works like this? Listen, we are broadcasters. We are broadcasters. There's certain things we don't. When you get things."
No, man, you're going to hear Dr. C selling it. Dr. C, get your copy from Dr. C.
Go and do a Bitty special and press some white label and sell them,
Yeah, man, Dr. C, get your copies. No, but it's out there for people to support and listen to. If you love it, support it. It's everywhere now on digital. We're in repress mode with the CD.
Wow, okay.
So and the vinyl should be in the summer.
Wow, vinyl.
There's a few left on Amazon. Yes, in the summer, There's a slight delay with the vinyl because at the time when the album was being pressed, it was like 9 to 12 months wait to get vinyl. I thought, there's no way I'm not waiting a year to get the vinyl. So we just left it, and it's finally come back to normal now, where it's 12 weeks to get finished product. So we'll get that into motion ASAP and get some vinyl out there for the vinyl collectors. But give thanks, it's going good, getting some good reactions.
It's going well. Like I said, some classics there already. I think Back in My Arms, Be Accepted. Yes. Let's Make Up. My second favorite song is what I'm going to term a Birmingham song, and it's, as far as my eyes can see.
As far
as I can see. That to me, when it kicks in, and then that is, I don't know if it's a melodica or whatever.
Melodica.
Well, did you play it yourself? Oh, I used to have one of them in primary school, bro. Weird. Don't tell me it's that actual thing on the. Is that the actual instrument on the song?
Yes, it is. Yes, my old piece of melodica, man. Yeah.
What? You don't have to ask to play a piece of it. Come on.
No.
Pressure now.
The batteries have run out.
Oh, God.
The batteries have run out, Dr. C, man. Next time.
Oh, God.
Put me under pressure, man.
Put me under
some serious pressure. Oh, gosh. But
this man has been on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people. All I want to know is, when you're touring, I want to see you playing that.
Yes. You will, man. I'm a bit rusty. I'll have to practice the melody.
Augustus Pablo vibes,
Just takes you right back, though. It's that.
That's when I heard frequency. That, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh, wicked. Yeah, the frequency. When I went to master the album, there's the engineer Alex Wharton over at Abbey Road mastered the album, and as soon as he heard it, Bitty, that's my song. As far as I can see.
Yes.
Yeah, wicked. Nice, man. Nice. So there's a few people that have said that as well.
Yeah.
As far as I can see. I think it kind of touches a chord, touches a note in especially the way the world is running right now as well. So it's conscious vibe. But Sly and Robbie, give the praise to Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare again, man. Them vibes, man. the grooves, Sly and the bass line, Robbie Shakespeare, man. That sets the whole foundation for the song to go to. So man, Sly and Robbie all the way.
Mad. So people, go out there, get no bootleg copy from nobody. Go out there, put your order in for the vinyl when it comes. For those of you who are vinyl addicts and stuff, you can get the CD with the nice pretty look shiny silver on it, or you can go and do the purchase.
It's there everywhere. Yes, Amazon, UK, you can buy the physical and you can get the downloads. So and I must say thank you to the artist who done the graphics, who drew the pictures and stuff like that, and Miss Kumi who done the design for the sleeve, all done in Japan. And I think it was just a nice way to present it, to do it differently, as opposed to just throwing something together here. Gets some key people to design and draw the images and stuff like that.
That's it. It's a keeper, is it? It's a thing what you're gonna buy and you're gonna keep, and you
want to keep. Yes, and look through the lyrics and read the lyrics and stuff like that. I think the presentation, just as the effort we put into making the music, I think the same should be in the presentation of the record and the CD as well. So I think mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished 100%. And you said you do a lot of work, obviously, in the studio there. So how do you do most of your recording then? Is it like do you go to Jamaica often, or do you just?
No, I went to Jamaica a couple of times, but I really love to record in my space. Yeah, because when I record, it's quiet. I work by myself.
Massive MySpace, MySpace.
MySpace gone a long time, but man. I like working in my environment in that sense, and I can work any hours I want to work. And the way Sly and Robbie work, Sly can send something. Robbie was in Florida, and we just put all the dots together, and it worked out perfectly. So we just use the technology. It's there at hand, and it's easy to do these days. To get the files uploaded, and I could be straight into voicing and mix mode. So that's me. Voice and mix. That's all I do. Sing and mix.
Sing and mix.
Sing and mix, and that's my job done.
So it's out there, people. The album is called Forward. like we said, Bitty is here telling us about his whole life. We're just going through the whole life story. You know how much time we have to reset this Zoom?
Chapters.
I'm going to tell them, yo, this is not the normal.
Edit. You have to edit.
We're on part 3 here now. We're on part 3,
yeah,
so they're just going to watch in one. Yeah, I'm glad you took the time, brother, because I know you're busy, man.
Thank you, Dr. C.
And it's not
some people probably don't realize.
Reason, like we'll reason with you, and you know, like I said, we go back a little way from the days of the Manchester Carnival, and those things. So
give thanks. So at the moment,
speaking of Carnival and stuff, what's happening with touring now? Because I know you just obviously done Japan. What we got lined up?
I'm literally back in the studio mixing another project right now, and then we're planning September, October stateside, and there's another short stint in Japan as well, because there was 4 shows I wasn't able to do in this stint in January, so we'll be planning that before the end of this year again. I'd love to be on the road in the UK, but I don't know what to say, Dr. C. The requests for England don't really come in for me. That's why I tend to be overseas and going to territories. I think there's I think there's a concept like anyone international is worth everything, whereas we're just local. There's many of us artists here, we're just seen as we're either second class or we're just local. And I think
that's a big letdown for
I think so, because you don't see UK. That,
and that's why I said
when you travel overseas, you see radio stations, national radio stations that support their own music. I'm not just talking about community. Give thanks to the community stations, but national stations support their own acts, and their own acts can tour and do their own thing in their own territory. Japan has their market for pop, jazz, reggae, everything. You know, you go to America's got their scene with their own artists on the reggae scene, hip hop, R&B. But England, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't got the answers, Dr. C. But all I can speak on is the reggae
I scratched my head on it as well, because like I'm saying, that's why I said earlier.
But we shouldn't be scratching our heads. You know, there should be a marketplace. It should be second nature that we support our own acts and have a touring route where, when an artist has a new product or a new artist steps on the scene, there's a route for them to promote their music and play live, and people can see, yes, he's a great artist and we'll support them. But it doesn't quite work like that for some reason in the UK.
No, it doesn't seem to. It doesn't seem to. You know what? As far as we're concerned in Manchester, we will talk. That's all I'm going to say. We will talk. We can make things happen. You know what I mean? We have the power to make things up. We've done it before, brother, haven't we? So,
Yes. So I mean, there's a few things that I've done myself. I've done like Broadway Catford, Jazz Cafe, Band on the Wall. There's a few things that I've done myself, but you can't do everything yourself as an artist. No, you know, I'm producing, I'm recording, I'm doing everything. So to become a promoter on top of it is like, that's probably a little bit too much for me. That's not really my market. I will do it if I have to, especially with the album Forward. You know, if the end of the year is coming closer and there's nothing in the diary UK, I'll just do Broadway Catford, you know, book that, and we'll book Birmingham Town Hall.
You will talk, brother. We will talk about some.
We leave it at that then, Dr. C.
Leave the listeners and the viewers to see. But like I say, many people, big up the people who are watching this via Twitch and YouTube as well, because we know we have a good amount of viewers when it comes to America and Canada, and they absolutely love your material. When I stream, the requests I get for Bitty is massive from abroad and the UK.
I forgot to tell you, Dr. C, I'm Bitty's lookalike. I'm his brother. I'm his younger brother.
Oh, Delbert, not Delroy. Delbert, you know.
Bitty couldn't make it tonight. He wrote all the answers down in front of you. Just say this. When Dr. C asks you this, just say that. Now, enough respect, Dr. C. Thank you for your time. And
big up yourself. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Tell
all
us
the
where they
music
can
lovers
follow you
out
on the
there.
socials, because we're all on the socials nowadays.
Bitty Mclean, just punch in Bitty Mclean.
Just type
Instagram,
in Bitty
Facebook,
McLean.
Twitter. Yeah, it's all there. Just Bitty Mclean, you'll find me. And
Man.
everything is up there. And Nez is my press agent who keeps everything up to date. I don't know
Big up
anything
Nez.
about
Big up Nez.
posting. I don't know how to post anything on these social media, so I just stay in the studio and make the music, and have my team to take care of the socials. But thank you so much for your time, Dr. C. Enough respect.
Bless up yourselves. Do we get a snippet of I want a snippet of Be Accepted? I know we don't need to put no batches in to get a little acapella of Be Accepted, brother. So
not only by the words of your mouth, but the meditation of your heart, be accepted in the sight of the Almighty One. I'll leave you with that, Dr. C.
Man. Respect, bro. Respect every time. Man has a respect.
Thank you so much, man. Every time.
Yourself.